Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Ralston. I'm with Ventura County Senior Transitions, and we are the ones kind of putting on these presentations, and we are so thankful for the townhouse for hosting us. We're a local business, and it's myself, Lisa, and my husband, Aaron, in the back. And we're the ones that are going to speak for you today. We do have some handouts there in front of you. If you'd like to take a look at those once you're done eating and fill the top one out for us, that would be helpful. That way we can get an idea of who you are, what brought you here, and kind of what you're looking for. And with no further ado, I'm going to have Lisa come and speak to you all. And we hope that you get some education and learn some things today that you didn't know before. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa. Welcome and congratulations on coming here today. It's really exciting to see so many people wanting to gain more knowledge and understand their options in their next chapter of life. It's a big step to come to gather information and be curious. And that's what I see you all doing here today, is being curious. That's actually how we created our company, is through our curiosity. We've all come together this last year to realize that there's a big opportunity in the community for seniors having one place to gather a lot of knowledge and assistance in making the transition into your next chapter of life more enjoyable and allow you to thrive and do it with ease. So my specialty is really the actual downsizing and moving process. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. So have you ever found yourself feeling stuck and asking yourself, I want a life that's a little simpler, feeling unsure where to begin, or wondering if downsizing is the right step for you? So those are all great questions. And the sooner we can ask them of ourselves before it's a necessary step, the better control we have of making some choices within that and looking at what that might look like for each of us. Moving forward doesn't mean rushing. It means planning thoughtfully, making informed choices, feeling supported every step of the way. So that's what makes what we do a little bit different, and what I believe needs to happen as a senior when you're moving. It takes a little bit more pre-planning and a little bit different timeline than your average move. So when I'm moving somebody, I work with them usually in 2-hour increments to start, because that's usually enough thought process and energy for any of us to put into it, right? And then we need a little break. We find it to be an extremely successful way to break down what may feel like a very overwhelming project and have you realize that it's very manageable if you just get started. I'm Lisa. My part in Ventura County Senior Transitions is providing compassionate support for life's next chapter. So I didn't start out doing this. I actually owned a furniture store for 22 years. When I closed my store, just like you guys may be thinking for yourself or a loved one, what does that next chapter look like? I was thinking the same. 22 years doing the same thing. My kids were grown. What do I think the next chapter looks like for me? So I do home staging, and in doing that, I found myself encountering quite a few seniors that were ready to downsize. I was staging their home, getting it ready to sell, and they were ready to go to a much smaller space. And so in meeting them, I started to see a great need to help them in that process, help them downsize what they might already have, find the right resources for those items to go, and then get them actually moved. And so that's how I have now moved over 150 seniors in the last 3 years. I also am a life and family coach. I'm a certified life coach. And so a lot of those skills are brought into what I do, because moving is a huge transition no matter what age you're doing it at. There's a lot of emotion that's involved in the moving process. And then I became a real estate agent last year as well. So I also have that component, and Our next presentation is actually going to be from Aaron, who has been a real estate broker for over 20 years. So lots of emotions are normal, and we're here to listen. So in the moving process, no matter what age we move at, there's a lot of stress involved. For many of you, you've probably moved many times in your life already, and you felt like you had it under control. And this time might feel a little bit different. If you've been in your current home for years, you're not only tackling the physical moving of items, but you're also tackling all the emotion that comes with it. So for many of us, owning a home is a big accomplishment. It shows a sign that we've achieved something, a level of stability. And the thought of that changing can be very emotional. You're going to be trying to figure out how to take all the memories you've shared in that home with you, as well as what you've decided to pare down to bring into your new space. So we're here along that way to talk that through. Obviously, doing staging has helped me in a lot of ways be able to help people find the items in their home that'll fit their new space as best as possible and maximize that space as best as possible for them. When values are clear, decisions are easy. So one of the big things for all of us is we each have unique things that make us us, and we want that to go with us no matter where we go. So the main thing to figure out is, what is it that you want to have carry through into this new chapter of your life? So we have some clients that they may be losing a very large yard, but now they're going to have a patio and they still want to be able to garden. So we work through, how is that going to look differently, right? What can we bring from your garden that may still work and give you that sense of ownership of your garden? And then realistically, what might not work? There's a great book called Lose the Stuff, Keep the Memories by Bill Haxton. And you guys might know him from, he did this series on hoarders. And he talks a lot about working through and honoring the memories of things. And often once you're able to do that, you're often able to let things go and realize that it served its purpose at that time and you're ready to move on to that next chapter. So that's one thing in our process, whether you work with us or you're planning it for yourself, that I think is really important to do. Not just think of it as, I'm moving, but what actually does my new lifestyle look like, and what's really going to still make me feel me, and where do my values align with them? And then one of my favorite phrases is, fear, false evidence appearing real. So we can all, at different chapters of our lives, I'm sure, go back in time and think about something that was coming up that we had all kinds of ideas about. And then we later found out that the story we told ourselves about that wasn't actually how it turned out, right? So sometimes the things we anticipate are not actually the reality. So acknowledging that often our fears are just that unknown, right? It's that feeling of the unknown. So I try to encourage my clients to go back in their life and think about all the other times that they may have encountered those fears, and yet it turned out much better than they anticipated. So what downsizing itself looks like. Navigating Senior Living by Amanda Ralston. So last month's lecture was Amanda talking about the different types of senior living. And you can go on our website and watch the replay of that if you missed it. Our website is on the back of our trifold that we handed out. And you can go back and watch that at any time you like. It covered different types of senior living and how those might fit into your needs. Where are you going next? Once decided, we plan your space to make the most of what you already love. So absolutely get floor plans, double check the measurements, because they're not always as accurate as we would like. Sometimes the floor plan they gave you will be flip-flopped and you'll actually need to think of it in the reverse. Um, there's lots of little things when you're space planning. Something as simple as when I've moved somebody, they've always slept on one side of the bed, but that room isn't designed for that. That room is designed where you would typically think you would walk in and the bed would be placed in one spot. But for a lot of people, especially as you age, you might get up to the restroom several times in the evening. So we've worked a room where we flip that bed around and make it most logical for the person to be able to get out of bed with ease and go straight to the restroom. So there's lots of little details in doing anything for the first time that you might miss that you can adjust and make life a little easier. Finding the right homes for treasured items. Sorry about that. So one of the big things that holds a lot of people back from making the decision to move is you'll often hear them say, but what about all the things that are here? Where are they all going to go? And of course, you've loved them and treasured them for a long time, and you want to know somebody else is going to love and treasure them. And one of the missions I've made for myself is really helping people know that their things are going somewhere they're going to be appreciated. So there's lots of great resources in Ventura County. Furniture is not that easy to resell these days, but there is a great organization called the Move-In Project. They're all volunteers over the age of 60, and they help people that are getting first-time housing. So often we end up donating furniture pieces to them. So I work with the families or the individual in finding the right spot for their items. So it's an easier transition for those items to not be in their daily life anymore. They realize that they're still being appreciated by somebody else. There's also the option of selling. Sometimes there are things to sell. And then, of course, there's also the situation where sometimes you need to get things shipped out to different family members, things where this family member wants something or that one, or I even have a family I'm working with right now. There's 7 kids and they need to decide who's getting what of some items that multiple people want the same items. So we're working through that. So we're able to, help facilitate those situations. Confidence comes from knowing what to expect, understanding your new space, knowing what you truly need, and letting go without pressure. So when you think about those 3 things, the one thing that's definitely true of them all is they all require you to take a little time. So I'm really happy to see everybody here today because the sooner you start thinking about downsizing, the more time you allow yourself to go through that process and not feel like it's being done to you, but it's your choice and you're making those decisions at a pace that's comfortable for you. What do you need in your new home? So sometimes, people will just ask me like, I have no idea what I should even take with me, right? I'm going from a 4-bedroom house and maybe their spouse has passed away and now they're just going to be by themselves. One of my favorite stories is I moved a woman who was 85. She had never lived on her own. So she'd gone from her home with her parents to living with her husband. When her husband passed, her daughter had her move in. But unfortunately, her daughter now was older and she and her husband wanted to go travel and nobody else wanted to take mom. So they found a great place for her, but Serafina had never lived on her own. And the day I went to move her from her bedroom at her daughter's, she said to me, I've never lived on my own. This is going to be really interesting. And I'm happy to say it's been almost 2 years and I see her regularly at where the community she was moved into, and she's happy as can be. But never living on her own, she had no idea what to necessarily expect that to be like. So you need fewer duplicate items, of course. You have less space, right? So if you have, unless you're just a person who loves shoes, you probably don't need 20 pairs of shoes anymore. You don't need 3 pairs of tennis shoes and 5 pairs of, sandals, right? You got to pare it down. Items you use and enjoy. So you got to focus. If you love shoes and that's your thing, then I tell my clients, bring them all with you. We'll figure out where to put them, right? There's always some place. But that's just an example of duplicates. Items you use and enjoy. So think about your daily life. If you on occasion like a cup of tea, but it's not your daily, then you probably don't need to bring multiple types of teas with you. Maybe just bring, a few tea bags and know that you can grab a few more if you need them. Things that fit your lifestyle today. So we all go through phases, right? So I recently moved, and I want to tell you a big part of what I do is I believe in honoring my clients. So if they want it, it's coming with them. We're figuring out how to get it there for them. But I recently moved a gentleman, and he really, really wanted all of his books. And he had built these beautiful bookshelves, and he wanted all those bookshelves, which meant his new apartment was going to be lined with bookshelves, literally all the walls and all his books. It was probably 100 boxes of books we moved. And then he wanted all his tools, even though he was not going to be using any tools any longer here, including, the thing you turn the sprinkler on and off with? So it came with us. And I often tell my clients, bring whatever you want within reason, but don't worry, you're probably going to be calling me in a couple weeks and having me pick up a few things. And that's okay. That's okay. I'd rather somebody bring it and then realize that that was really kind of not necessary than miss something.
Yeah.
When services are included, less is needed. So when you have weekly cleaning in your apartment and somebody else is going to be bringing the supplies, you don't need a huge, gallon of Windex. You can get something small, portion-wise. No need to store extras. So no more big trips to Costco buying, 40 rolls of toilet paper. Gotta think about the space you have and get a few less. More space for what matters. So what matters at this stage for a lot of people is you might have a walker. So maybe you don't have a coffee table because you need the space to use your walker and come through. So it's a shift in thinking about what your daily needs are going to be, right? Not just what it used to look like, but what it needs to look like now. Most of your activities are going to be outside the home. That's the whole reason you want to move into a community, right? You want to move into a community so that you have access to people all the time, or you can also just go in your own room and close your door, right? You don't always have to be participating in the community. But most of your socializing will be done outside of your home. So you don't need a dining room table that seats a lot of people. You need a smaller space. If you're going to play cards, you mostly do it in a common area, right? That's the idea, for you to be out and in the community. Laundry. So I usually suggest people bring 2 to 3 sets of sheets. That's usually enough. There's laundry rooms on site. Some facilities do your laundry for you. Some, they just have a laundry room available to you. You only need a couple sets of towels, 2 to 3 sets of towels. You don't need as many as you did in your old home. The kitchen. The kitchen is always a fun one because some places have kitchens. The townhouse, you have a kitchen. Some places have only kitchenettes. So that really changes the kitchen environment. And even here, the kitchen is, it's a downsized kitchen. So you're not going to bring all your appliances that you used in your previous kitchen. Though Lisa helps me move people. So it's Lisa and Lisa, keeps it really easy for people to remember who we are. And we've helped a gentleman the last 2 days that is wheelchair bound, moved from Arizona and moved to a community that does have kitchens. And we've unpacked so many different gadgets and appliances we didn't even know existed. And he says he uses them all and must have them to cook. So, again, if that's your thing, you figure it out, right? You figure out how to make it work. But you no longer need, 40 plates or 30 cups. Most places don't have a dishwasher. So you're going to use it, hand wash it, dry it, and use it again, right? So a couple of each is usually more than enough. Also, multiple sets of cookware, just bring what you realistically will use. And when we work with you, that's something we process through. Um, I did have a client which we came up with a great solution. She had 4 sets of china, and the daughter told me she loves her china. And there's these 4 different patterns, like what can we do? And I said, well, let's bring 1 set from each set of china so she can enjoy all the different patterns, right? There's no dishwasher, so we don't have to worry about it going in the dishwasher. So she's going to hand wash it anyways. Just bring 1 set of each. That way she gets the variety and still gets to enjoy her china. So it's about coming up with solutions. A simple way to decide, you can ask yourself, do I use this now? Does this still serve my life? Confidence grows when decisions feel clear. So I even move a lot of people from one community to another community because maybe their needs have changed, or they want to try something different, or their budget changes. So I had a gentleman who had a metal framed boxing thing. I don't even know what you call it. He made it himself, and it was very important to him. And it was on a patio where he lived at the current place I was moving him from. And the new place I was moving him to did not have a patio. So he actually forgoed a bed to have that in his bedroom because it was really important to him. It's what helped keep him active, helped make him feel like himself. And so he said, you know what? The couch is perfectly comfortable for me to sleep on. I'm good with that. And I'm sure, as many of you can imagine, his daughter wasn't so happy with that thought. She didn't live here. She lived in another state, and he had decided to move. So a lot of times what it's about too is managing the family dynamics and helping children, most often, not really the parent, children most often realize that it's okay for the parent to have that idea, that if that's what they want and it works for them, they're the one living that daily life, right? So it's really fun. The last 3 years have been very fun to participate. I'm very honored to have helped so many people in their decisions, because it's really fun to see what different people choose as most important to them. A simple, confident packing approach. 1 is everyday clothing. Obviously, you want to take your comfortable items. That's what you're going to be wearing most of the time. Comfortable shoes, favorite kitchen items, personal decor and photos. Really no need for just in case items, right? If you have something come up in this day and age, everything's at our fingertips, right? It's not like the past where it was difficult to get your hands on things that you might need. So better to not burden yourself with those added items at the time of moving. The moving process, decide where you're going. That's the first step, right? You got to figure out what looks like the best fit. Then we learn what that space includes. Plan what fits and what doesn't. Pack with intention and move with support. You don't have to do it alone. You can have help with planning, coordinating, downsizing guidance, and emotional support. Confidence comes from not carrying it all yourself. This is your move, your timeline, your decision, and your comfort level. Moving forward with confidence is feeling prepared, understanding your needs, and asking for the help, right? Having the proper support to make it happen. Moving forward is not about leaving a life behind. It's about stepping into what's next with clarity and peace. So I think Amanda already covered this, but we're Ventura County Senior Transitions. And we all work as a team to help people go through this process and have it have as little stress as possible. There's no way to eliminate stress. Amanda, I'll go back real quick. Amanda is a registered nurse, so there's a lot of knowledge there in helping people find the right fit for where you might want to move to. then I actually come in and do a lot of the moving component. And if you do have a property to sell or a property that needs to be managed, if you're going to keep it and rent it, Aaron is a real estate broker for 20 years, second generation realtor in Ventura County. So we've all come together and feel like we're able to help our clients seamlessly navigate the process. You don't have to go to multiple places, and we're truly a team. We talk daily, so we work with our clients all the way through. We do senior placement assistance, moving coordination and downsizing, real estate sales and property management, senior education and family coaching, and resource guidance. So on our website, you'll see that Amanda and Aaron have done a lot of videos with palliative care and all kinds of other topics. Those are all available to you guys to check out on the website. And we're also always available for any suggestions for resources because we deal with so many different things in the community. There's lots of resources available for anything you're coming up against. This is kind of the flow chart inquiry we discuss, and we gave one of these to you guys in your handout. We discuss your needs, timeline, care requirements, budget to determine your next best step. Assessment, we complete a detailed personal care assessment to understand medical, emotional, lifestyle needs. This ensures the right match for both care level and community culture. It's really interesting. I'm going to stop there real quick. It's really interesting because there are so many community options in Ventura County. It's really fantastic because there is obviously a lot of people getting ready to go to that next chapter. So no one can tell us what necessarily is the right fit for any one person until we really get to know you and figure that out. And then we actually take you and tour you. And people choose things that would surprise us sometimes, it's not necessarily what we would see. And so it really is important to get out there before it's a necessity to move, for you to go out and explore those communities and see what might be the best fit for you. Choosing the community, we help families compare options, review costs and contracts, and make informed decisions about the best fit. Transition planning, we assist with move coordination, including home downsizing, real estate help, packing, moving, etc. Move-in support, we ensure the move-in day goes smoothly, assist with settling in, and remain available for last-minute check-ins. So one of the things that I realized very early on in moving people is when we leave, we don't leave any boxes. So when we move somebody in, we unpack everything. We make their bed. Before you move in, we make sure your TV is going to work. And those things are really important to make the transition not feel stressed. The value we bring, simplified process. We're experts in what we do. We're a team that handles it all. We have your best interest at heart, and we operate with high integrity. So do you guys have any questions for me? Uh-huh.